Previously on the Steve Fox career mode. So we're revving up to 5 red lights here at Sochi. And it's lights out, and away we go for the Russian Grand Prix, and a cracking start there from Steve. Is he going to try and get past Rosberg first chance he gets? No, he's not. He's going wheel to wheel with Nico Rosberg from Mercedes, getting instantly in the slipstream. Sebastian Vettel, he's moving to the inside line, going into turn 1. Who's going to come out in the lead? And there's been a bit of contact. You see Steve's raised his hand up as if to say, what you doing? And he gets through the first corner near enough unscathed there. It's going to be Felipe Massa that wins, and for the third race it's going to be a third podium in a row for Steve Fox here at Sochi.
Okay, I've got something for you. The new parts have been fitted to the car. The simulation numbers are good, so I look forward to your feedback. Check out the details.
Right, so as you can no doubt see then, we've got a new part fit, which is of the chassis weight. So as you see, upgrade level 105, it actually reduced the chassis weight, which means that we get better aerodynamic performance on the car, which should be good considering this next track is pretty difficult. So without further ado, let's get into the Spanish Grand Prix.
Welcome to the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya for the Spanish Grand Prix. Over the next few minutes, the teams will be heading out onto this classic Formula One track for what we're expecting to be a very hectic practice session. Now then, Anthony Davidson, there's been a lot of talk over the last few weeks about track limits. How much is too much when you're cutting corners and running wide? What are your thoughts on this? And do you think we'll be seeing drivers pushing those limits this weekend?
Well, I'd be disappointed if we didn't, frankly. If race control want to clamp down on drivers wandering off the track, then it's up to them to police it. As a driver, you're being paid to get your car around the circuit as quickly as possible, don't forget. So if you're not pushing those limits, if you're ignoring the advantageous line, then you're not doing your job properly. Now, I agree that, we have these white lines there for a reason, and we do want to see those limits enforced, but for me, it's not a driver's responsibility to do that.
Hey guys, I'm Viper and welcome back to my Steve Fox career mode. As you can see, we are at Spain for the Spanish Grand Prix, and jumping straight into practice. As you can no doubt see, we're starting with the truck acclimatization test on the hard tyres, as you can see. And Steve did relatively well at this track. I mean, he did alright in his first attempt, but unfortunately, as the weekend went on, he had quite a few problems, mainly involving the setup with his car. As you can see, just going through different sectors. He seemed to nail doing the track one, but unfortunately the tyre wear one he struggled with, and also the qualifying times he extremely struggled with, as you'll see later on down the line. But yeah, mainly most of it was in practice 1. We did only manage to get this one in practice 1. As you see, me on to practice 2. Did the tyre one, just about managed to get it through. As you can see, just opening the DRS flap there and coming across the line to complete the test. That was all from the practice session. Now let's move on to our agent, who's got a bit of news regarding the qualifying goals for the Spanish Grand Prix.
Hi, how are you? I'm just passing on your qualifying goals for this weekend.
So as you can see then, those are our qualifying goals for the Spanish Grand Prix, which is to, of course, qualify 9th or higher, which is going to be pretty difficult at this track, beat our teammate Roman Grosjean, that's as per usual, and qualifying above Lewis Hamilton, which we managed to do in Russia, but I'm highly doubtful, and Steve's highly doubtful as well, of Spain, since it's quite tough. And yeah, without further ado, I'll now hand you over to the commentators.
Here we are at the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya for the start of today's qualifying session. It won't be long now until we're ready to join the action down at trackside. In recent seasons, much talk has been made about tyre wear. Some say it gets in the way of the racing, others say it's always been part of the sport. Are we going to see drivers trying to look after their tyres here, or throw caution to the wind and worry about that when it becomes a problem?
Tyre wear is always something you have to consider to a certain degree. Finding a good car balance that suits the circuit will help prolong the life of the tyre, but it's true that some circuits, such as this one, are more challenging than others. How hard you can push them depends on your strategy and how tight the battle is around you.
Right, so you join us for qualifying here at Spain, and as you can see, Steve decided to go out on the soft tyres for his first run, as he usually does. He usually tries to go out on the hardest tyre, but obviously there's 3 different types of tyres at the Grand Prix here. There's the softs, the mediums and the hards. Actually, he's on the softest tyre there is, but yeah, it's going to be interesting because I think he's decided that he doesn't want to risk going through on the mediums or the hards because he knows he hasn't got the pace, so he wants to try and get as good as a pace as he can. As you see, he's already 4 tenths down Raikkonen's time. Vettel ended up going quick and he ended up being 1.4 seconds down, unfortunately. So he's on the softest tyres, on the quickest tyre there is, because he knew that he had okay pace on those tyres, but coming across the line for his first qualifying lap was a 1:24.2 thereabouts. As you can see, he was P6 original, but went down to P7 thanks to Button. However, it wasn't good enough, and come later on down the line, it ended up being P19. So Steve was like, right, I've got one last attempt at this. I need to go out again. I need to get another qualifying lap done. And it actually was a lot better this lap. Unfortunately, the result wasn't quite the same, as you'll see from later on down the line. As you see, he's still 1.37 seconds down. So 1.4 seconds down almost, and coming around the last corner and across the line to do a 1:23.5, which puts him in P16. That's all from qualifying. On the Hound Drill to the commentators for the rundown of the entire field.
So qualifying is complete and we're all set for an exciting race tomorrow. Your top 3 are Hamilton, Vettel and Nico Rosberg. With qualifying complete, all that remains is the main event. We'll be live and uninterrupted for the Grand Prix tomorrow, so make sure you join us then.
Right, so as you can see then from the qualifying results that it was Lewis Hamilton who got pole position from Sebastian Vettel by 3 tenths of a second. As you can see there, Nico Rosberg in the second Mercedes finishing 3rd. Kimi Raikkonen in the second Ferrari finishing 4th, so it was Mercedes and Ferrari locking out the front 2 rows, but I said go Mercedes, Ferrari, Mercedes, Ferrari. Then the Red Bulls of Ricciardo and Verstappen locking out row 3. Valtteri Bottas there in 7th place, followed by Carlos Sainz in 8th, Perez 9th, Massa 10th. And out of top 10. See Danny Kvyat there in 11th, Hulkenberg in 12th, our teammate Roman Grosjean in 13th, Jenson Button and so the 2 climbs lined up side by side, 14th and 15th. Then ourselves, Steve Fox in 16th, Harry Anto 17th, Ken Magnussen 18th, Pascal Wehrlein 19th, Jodie Palmer 20th, Ericsson and Nasser rounding out the locked out the back row, 3 seconds down. As you can see, we were 2.2 seconds behind on Lewis Hamilton's pole times. Not a great qualifying for us today. However, high hopes for the race tomorrow, should be quite good. And now I'll hand you over to our agent who has the race goals for, of course, the Spanish Grand Prix.
Hey, how are you? I have some information on the race goals you should keep in mind.
Right, so looking at the race goals for the Spanish Grand Prix, as you can see we've got to finish the race in 12th place or higher. We need to beat our teammate Roman Grosjean, which will be quite difficult, but considering he's only 3 places ahead, we should be good. Should we get a good start, we should be able to beat Grosjean there off the line. As you can see though, our worst and hardest objective there is to beat Lewis Hamilton in the race standing, so that's going to be pretty damn difficult. But the easiest one there, obviously placing higher than 14th. In the Drivers' Championship, so obviously because we're already in the lead of the championship as it stands, we should be alright to keep that lead. Fingers crossed, should we do alright in this race, so we'll easily beat that target. Without further ado, I'll now hand you over to the commentators who can set the scene for the Spanish Grand Prix.
What does the Spanish Grand Prix have in store for us today, I wonder? I hope we see some tight wheel-to-wheel action down the main straight, circa Mansell and Senna way back in '91, or maybe we'll have a more strategic race here on a track where overtaking can be difficult. It's a sellout crowd of 140,000 here today as we await lights out for the 730-metre sprint down to turn 1 of this 2.9-mile racetrack. Overtaking is challenging through these 16 corners, but there's still a lot of high-speed excitement to be found, including the flat-out turn 3 and the terrifying blind right of turn 9. Anthony Davidson is here with me today. Together we'll be taking you through all the action of this Spanish Grand Prix. It can be hard for the cars to follow each other closely here due to the dirty air coming off the car in front. So perhaps we're looking at a more strategic Grand Prix, Ant. What do you think on that?
I'm not too sure about that, Crofty. I mean, yes, as you say, it's hard to follow around here, but if you're brave on the brakes, you can get the job done down into turn 1, which is a medium-speed corner, so you have to be committed. And looking down at this grid today, I think we're going to see 1 or 2 drivers making a move from a long way back, maybe try to force their opponent into a mistake. I don't think this is a race that's going to be purely decided in the pit stops.
We think you have a great chance of taking home at least 12th place today.
So before the off, let's remind ourselves of yesterday's qualifying session with a look at the starting grid. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Rosberg, Raikkonen, Daniel Ricciardo and Verstappen, Bottas, Sainz, Perez and Felipe Massa, Kvyat, Hülkenberg, Romain Grosjean and Button, Alonso and a Haas, Rio Haryanto and Kevin Magnussen, Wehrlein and Palmer, Marcus Ericsson and Felipe Nasser starts from the back of the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Right, so it's race day here at the Catalunya circuit, and obviously the Spanish Grand Prix being the track that it is and the difficulty that it is, I decided to go on a bit of an odd strategy. Now you can no doubt see on screen I'm changing the strategy for this one, and I thought that instead of going from the softs to the mediums, I thought I'd take a bit of a gamble and go from the softs to the hard tyres. Now the reason being for this was because I was going for because I know how much the tyres get worn down here at Spain, so having the hard tyres means we won't really run out of grip come the end of the race. It'll be hard to get them up to temperature, but then once we get them up to temperature we'll easily be able to last, we'll have plenty of grip last until the end of the race. So fingers crossed we'll be able to pull this off. So yeah, like I said, we're going to do that. We're going to have the soft to the hard tyres, not the soft to the mediums. And in terms of race strategy, that's pretty much it. I can't really think that we're going to be doing else for the race strategy. So I'm going to hand you over to the start of the race for, of course, the Spanish Grand Prix. So we're having up to 5 red lights here at Catalunya. And it's lights out, and away we go, and a brilliant start there by Steve, getting off the line well and jumping 3 cars in the process, make that 4 with Hülkenberg, getting the slipstream of Danny Kvyat. Now he's up to his P11 already, going to turn 1, there's going to be a slight bit of contact. You see Steve raises his hand in the air, but he's up into 8th place after only turn 1. And as you can see there with Bottas, he's trying to catch him, he's on the back of him there. And I see going through sector 1, we're actually going to stay on board because, as you can no doubt see, Steve's actually catching up to Bottas here, so quite interesting actually. He's going to go down his inside, just about make the corner, and he makes a move stick, and he's up into 7th place. However, it doesn't stop there. Is he going to try and go up the inside Max Verstappen? He's trying, and he gets up the inside of the Red Bull, he loses the back end, taps the rear end of Max Verstappen, who starts to go slow. Is he going to try and go again for the move? And he does, and he's up into 6th place, and this is all on lap 1, so a fantastic start, 16th to 6th place. What a best start he's had all season. Obviously he started mainly from the top 10, but outside the top 10 it just proves it. Coming on to lap 3 though, as you can see Max Verstappen there going down the outside, and at this point DRS has been enabled, but obviously it's only been enabled this lap, so Steve, as you can see, is going side by side with Max Verstappen, and he manages to keep the place. However, moving on to lap 5, Max did actually manage to get past. This is actually our pitting lap, and we did manage to get the timing okay for this. We just about managed to get the pit limiter switched on in time and not speed in the pit lane, but obviously, as you remember seeing from the pit strategy before, we're coming in for the hard tyres, so the soft and going on to the hards. You see we're dropping down the order as all the cars go past. There's been a few other cars that have come into the pits, and a reasonable pit stop, 2.3 seconds, so not a bad pit stop at all. Very decent pit stop, as you can see. going to come out behind Felipe Nasr. You see Felipe Massa is behind us, who's pitted on the same lap as us. And our next objective obviously is to catch the cars in front. Now, later on that lap, he did manage to catch Felipe Nasr and pass him. And coming on to lap 7, obviously, he's going to get quite a few of them places back. And as you can see, there's a car on the right hand side down here, and Felipe Nasr's trying to get through, and obviously there's 3 wide in turn 1. Nasr backs out of it, but he gets ahead of Max Verstappen, which is going to help us in the long run. And as you can see, Steve is completely catching Kevin Magnussen up front in the Renault here. See, Bottas is only just there, so what we really need to do at the moment is need to get past Kevin Magnussen. If we can get past Kevin Magnussen, we can start chasing after Bottas. So far it's looking quite good for a points finish today. Obviously not a win, but a points finish. You see, Steve locked up his brakes and went for the move up the inside Max Verstappen and took the place. And moving on to lap 8, going on to lap 9 now. You see Felipe Massa's right in the rear view of Steve there, and with DRS he just glides past. As you can see, he's going to get back in his slipstream now. It tops out at 210 miles an hour. Going into turn 1, is he going to try and keep up with Felipe? Unfortunately, he can't keep up. As you see, Felipe is already pulling away. So, unfortunately, that's kind of what happened. We were trying to hold the positions as much as we could, and unfortunately, just the way that just the way the dice. As you can see though, Steve managed to catch a lucky break, because on lap 12 when Hulkenberg came out of the pits, he actually gave us a points position. So we're up into P10, as you can see, and that would later become P9 after Jody and Palmer went in the pits. And as you can see now, moving on to the end of that lap, you see Jody Palmer's in the pits. That's P9 now for us, but Nico Hulkenberg is going to fly past with DRS. We're trying to get in his slipstream. Is Steve going to try and go for an aggressive move up the inside? He's locked his brakes. He's tapped Nico Hulkenberg, just about gets through up into P9. However, coming on to the end of that lap on lap 13, going on to lap 14 now, as you can see Nico Hulkenberg once again with that DRS. However, it's going to be a dual overtake from Hulkenberg and our teammate Romain Grosjean, and we're going to outbrake Grosjean into turn 1. And we're going to try and go around the outside of Nico Hulkenberg. And we're pushing him a bit aggressive on the exit there. But yeah, as you can see, Nico Hulkenberg proper struggle. We tried to keep up with him, but unfortunately pulled away. And this was with DRS on the end of the next lap, so plenty of action here. As you see, our teammate Romain Grosjean decides to overtake us, and Steve, being aggressive as he is, he's going to actually outbrake Grosjean into turn 1. As you see, he's going to go wheel to wheel as we're going to ride on board and watch this little battle between the two Ash teammates. You see Steve raise his hand up in the side as if to say, Grosjean, what are you doing, mate? Leave us a bit of room. Runs a bit wide there. As you can see though, Steve's closed right back up to the bottom of Grosjean. Bear in mind that Grosjean's on the better tyres. And Steve's going to try and go for a move on the other side. He locks his left front. He just about makes the corner. As you see though, the two Haas teammates are still side by side. So Steve and Grosjean still side by side. Going to his left-hander though. Grosjean backs out of it, and a brilliant move there by Steve going to points playing position. But as you can see, coming on to the final lap of the race now. Final lap, obviously, lap 17. Grosjean passes us with DRS. Steve's going to try and keep up with him, try and re-overtake him again. You see, he tries down the inside. Perez is also attacking as well, so he needs to watch out for him. But unfortunately, Grosjean rides off into the distance thanks to the extreme OP pace of the AI here. And unfortunately, it's going to be P11 for Steve Fox today here at Spain, at the Spanish Grand Prix. Disappointing result there. The team's happy with the job, but personally I think Steve's quite disappointed. He wanted to get some points for the team. Unfortunately, it just wasn't possible today. Hopefully he can get some points in Monaco. I'll now hand you over to the commentators for the podium and of course the results.
A great win then for the Mercedes team today. And I have to wonder, Anthony Davidson, just what set them apart from the competition here.
The difference was clearly in the strategy. You could tell they'd done a lot of work on the pit wall to really optimise each stint and get the most out of the tyres. And it highlights just how much of a team sport this really is. But credit to the driver as well though, there's no good having a well-oiled machine behind the scenes without a talented hand on the wheel, of course.
And here are our podium drivers today after that excellent race. They've excelled here, as they so often do, and it's a well-deserved victory. Mercedes, then, are on top today. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. Well, the lead at the top has come down after a poor result for our points leader. Now then, Anthony Davidson, who was your driver of the day?
Today, I think I'll give it to the Haas driver. They pushed and found some fantastic performance. It was just a pleasure to watch.
And here's how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Mercedes have extended their lead at the top of the standings. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend from them as they fight their way towards the top. That's it for today's Grand Prix, and from Ant and I, it's goodbye, and see you again next time.
So as you can no doubt see then from the race results, it's Nico Rosberg who wins from Sebastian Vettel from Kimi Raikkonen, with Lewis Hamilton coming home in 4th place, Daniel Ricciardo coming in 5th, and he actually had a 5-second time penalty, don't know what for though. We see Valtteri Bottas there finishes in 6th with his teammate Felipe Massa, finishes alongside him in 7th place. Max Verstappen there in 8th place in the other Red Bull, so I'm doing alright here at Spain, considering he won at the real life race after 2 mates crashed out. Nico Hulkenberg finishes P9. I see our teammate Roman Grosjean just finishes ahead of us in the points in P10. We finish around 2 seconds behind him in P11. I see Sergio Perez there in 12th with Carlos Sainz behind, Jenson Button in 14th, Danny Kvyat in 15th, Alonso 16th, Rio Haryanto 17th, Jordan Palmer and Ken Magnussen, the 2 Renaults lining up 18th and 19th. As you see there, Felipe Nasser, Marcus Ericsson lining up 20th and 21st, with Pascal Wehrlein retiring. Moving on to the instance, as you can see, Danny Kvyat got most of the instance were on lap 1. You see there, Ricciardo ignoring a ignoring the yellow flag and got him a stop-go penalty. Ericsson collided with Haryanto and Haryanto got with Clyde Ericsson. Danny Kvyat obviously retired. Collided with Sainz and got a warning for it. And I see Pascal Wehrlein retired with mechanical failure on lap 15, so only a few laps from home. As for the Drivers' Championship though, you can see it's now Nico Rosberg who's in 2nd place. He's only 8 points behind, with Lewis Hamilton there in 3rd place. You see Vettel's jumped Ricciardo, Raikkonen's jumped Massa. Verstappen stayed where he is, thankfully. He stayed there in 8th. Bottas has moved ahead of Danny Kvyat. Our teammate Roman Grosjean has moved ahead of Fernando Alonso. However, they are both equal on points. Obviously, with the gap being as small as it is, you see between the top 5, I think it is, the gap's 23 points. So the gap's really closed down compared to the last one. As you see, going down through the points now, Nico Hulkenberg there in 13th with Sainz and Perez 14th and 15th. Then you get to Jenson Button, Rio Haryanto, and the rest of the field who obviously haven't scored points yet. Hopefully, Jenson Button will be able to score points, because I've got high confidence to be able to score points. Same with the 2 Renaults, one of them should be able to score some points if they develop the car enough this season. Fingers crossed, that's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, like I said, Felipe Nasr is still rounding out the bottom of the Drivers' Championship, unfortunately. As for the Constructors, Mercedes have now extended their lead at the top of the championship, with Ferrari moving up, as you can see, moving ahead of us after that brilliant performance. We've dropped down to 3rd now, and Red Bull's only 7 points behind, so now we've dropped back and slipped into the clutches of Red Bull. Williams, as you can see, is there P5, Toro Rosso there P6, Force India moved ahead of McLaren by a point. Sauber are now P9, Manor P10, and obviously Renault P11. Obviously no points whatsoever. However, just before I end this episode here, I would like to hand you over to the agent who has some very exciting news for us.
Hey, what could this be? Could it be a promotion to first driver? I think it might be. You read the details. You've earned it.
Well then, you weren't expecting this then, were you? As you can see, we've been promoted. Dear Steve, your performance on and off the track has been exceptional. Server management have decided to promote you to first driver. We expect exemplary performance from you, and in return you'll receive additional R&D resource points for every race. We look forward to our continued success. From the Haas F1 team. I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to Monaco already, which is of course the next race. The race difficulty will be turned up from 25% to 50% for that race, so expect a lot of action and a bit of a longer episode for that one. Also for Canada and the upcoming races, we should be able to get some good results there, thanks to the how not OP the AI is there. But apart from that, I'm going to leave this episode here. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. And of course, make sure to drop a like down below if you enjoyed this episode. But until next time, I've been Viper Racing. You guys have been also watching. Until next episode, I'll see you guys then. Ta-ra!